Evening, guys. Time for our Meet the Collection segment for this week. And I did the video with the T-positive Batik the other day. This is his sister. She is also a T-positive albino blood python. Yet another one I have not come up with a name for yet. She's a pretty weary snake. She's not as trusting of me as a lot of my other animals. So you'll notice that everything she does is a little more calculated, a little more trying to figure out what's going on. Her tongue flicks will be a little bit different. You'll see a lot less signs that she's comfortable. Now, she hasn't tried to bite me in probably a year and change since she was small, but I wouldn't put it past her too if a situation arose where she felt uncomfortable. So right now, like I said, you can see just by her posture and everything that she's very, very unsure of what's going on. Now, typically I just handle her to move her to clean. I don't really handle her for long periods of time. So this will be a little outside the ordinary for her. She hatched on July 10th of 2018. So she's about a year and a half old. I slow grow everything. So you'll see she's not humongous, but she does have good weight for her size, although from that angle it makes her look kind of thin. But these guys, while heavy-bodied, shouldn't ever really be fat. So you want to see a little bit of that spine definition. That's good in these guys. There are some situations where that won't happen. Just certain animals just look different than others, but typically you should see some spine definition in these guys. As you can see, she's coloring up very, very nicely. She looks a lot like her mother did when her mother was small. Excuse me. So I have a feeling she's going to be very, very red when she gets a little bit older, probably in another year or two. You can see, if it'll show up on this, her sides are really, really deep red. She's got some really nice pinks up near her head and neck. Excuse me. Every time I start talking, I do this. And you probably really can't see her eyes, but if you can, they're very alert, very weary of what's going on right now. She is out of my big T-positive female, if you guys remember her from a previous session. I think she was like the fourth Meet the Collection. That's her mother. The father belongs to Dillon, whose house I was just at this past weekend, who was in the venomous video there. So he has the father. That was a joint project that we did. And there'll be an upcoming video of me at his house with his blood pythons, and you'll actually see two of her sisters that he has over there. One being a T-positive Batik and the other being a T-positive like her. So the father was a Batik het for T-positive. So visually, he showed the Batik gene. He's a very red animal, but he was just het for T-positive. He wasn't a visual T-positive. And he was from cherry bomb lineage, which definitely helps these guys have really nice color, and I think they're going to do really well in the future, whatever I use them in. So I'm looking forward to seeing how she develops. And one of the cool things, hopefully, we'll stick with all these videos and do this, and I'll be able to bring some of these animals back in a year or so, or whenever, as I do videos, and you can kind of see the progression of how they progress. One thing with blood pythons is they do, not always, but if they're from good lineage and solid lines and you know what's there, they do tend to get better with age. I have her sister who's het for T-positive, and she was one of those brown snakes that you see when they're very young, and she's very red already, which I gambled a little bit. She's probably not what most people would have kept as a holdback, but I just had a lot of confidence in her, and it paid off. Plus, she was the 13th baby from that clutch, born on a Friday the 13th, and how do you not keep that too, That's pretty cool. But yeah, so back to this girl. A lot of people will preach handling all the time, and I know I did my how to tame short tails down video. As you can see, a little more time now. She's getting more confident, steady tongue flicks. Her posture's, she's moving around a little bit more, seeing what's going on. She's not as stiff and rigid. She's a little more pliable. But yeah, I don't believe in hammering on handling with them. If she's a nervous animal, then I just do it in small increments with her. Naturally, over time, she'll either become more tolerant, or she'll just stay where she's at, and I'll just let her, work in that regard. But I do think that she'll be fine with me. Like I said, she hasn't tried to take a shot at me in over a year now. I think it's been probably you know, she hatched in July. It's probably like, you know, September, October of that year was the last time she went for me. And typically with her, ironically, it's when you put her back in her cage that she'll go for you. She'll be fine out, and when she's nervous, she will be very still and she won't move. And you'll put her back in her cage, and that's when she kind of lets go, because now she's back somewhere where she's comfortable, so she feels like she can defend herself. But you can see she's becoming more and more alert as time goes on in this video, more and more curious as opposed to nervous. Now that she's kind of realized, all right, I'm going to be out for a little bit, I might as well see what's going on here. You know, history tells her that I'm not a bad guy and I'm not looking to do anything bad to her. So she's becoming more and more curious and less apprehensive. So when you give these guys time to assess a situation, they will do that and they will figure things out. People want to force too much upon them and flood them. And that's really not allowing the animal to learn anything other than, you know, they can't trust you, but you might just break their will. That's really not what we want to do. One of the reasons that I kept her is I love how clean her sides are in certain places. And you see like down towards that tail, it's real clean there. There's not a whole lot of pattern there. And both sides are the same. I can get her to turn around here. The other side has that real clean nothingness. And even where she does have pattern, it's relatively pixelated, almost like you would see on like a matrix. She's not a matrix, but just kind of similar. And I just really liked her pattern. I fell in love with it from the moment she hatched. You know, the T-positive batik was obviously important genetically, but this was the snake I really wanted to hold back out of that clutch. This was really my favorite. You were. It's true. But yeah, you can see, even though, like I said, she's apprehensive, now that I know she's relaxed, I trust her there. I know that she's not going to do anything at this point. That doesn't mean that they can't. You know, animals are animals and certain things can freak them out. But, you know, you work with these guys every day and you get to know their personalities and you know when you can push and when not to push. And that's an important thing. And that's kind of why I wanted to do these Meet the Collection segments, so I can share with you guys how, you know, how I work with these animals, how I learn their individual personalities. I think a lot of people see people that breed and think like, oh, you know, these animals are just numbers to you and, you know, you don't really get to know them. But every animal in my collection I know, and I can tell you many things about each one of them, especially personality-wise. And, you know, that's why I enjoy working with them. I enjoy learning them. One of my favorite things about snakes, it's different than dogs and cats. And I love dogs and I'm okay with cats. But one of the things that I love about snakes is that they're not built to have relationships with us. You have to earn their trust and earn their respect and teach them to want to interact with you. A dog naturally wants to interact with you. A kitten typically naturally wants to interact with you. Snakes do not want to do that. So you're asking them to do something that's outside of their normal realm. She's so very interested in me right now. So that's why I enjoy keeping snakes, is I enjoy, you know, working with them and learning that kind of stuff and learning what makes each individual snake tick and, you know, how I can best tailor my keeping to them and working with them. So I hope that you guys enjoy these segments for that reason. Stay tuned this Saturday. The next video coming up is going to be part of Dillon's Burm collection, which includes a really, really awesome Burmese python that you guys probably haven't seen much of before, maybe only in pictures, so it'll be cool to see a video. It was very cool for me to see it in person, something I've never seen before. So that's exciting. He has a lot of nice Burms, so you guys will look forward to that. I'll post that up at some point on Saturday. We'll see you guys. Thank you.